And good evening, everybody. Welcome on in to the Dragon's Den. This is Digital Dragon, aka Luke. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Hey, how's everything going? Everything plus ultra? Hope you're having a good day. I'm a little bit off today, just because I'm dealing with some allergies and stuff, but this is going to be a little bit of a laid back day. And I'm working a little bit more on my overall setup. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late. I was trying to get the second monitor up on my setup over here. Now that I had the VESA bracket that showed up, so I think I'm up and running, so I can see chat in the screen and have more real estate over here a little bit easier. So how are you doing this evening, Everything Plus Ultra? Hope you're doing well. Let me grab this thing over here and plug it in before I forget. So let's see, we've got a couple of things going on. The workbench is still overtaken at the moment with the Ender 3 belt printer. I set up a job for 50 iterations of the Penguin. And as you can see, it is churning them right on out. What I did was I set up a box down here, simply took the box and lifted the end of the printer up and set it on one edge of the box. And so as they come down, they'll hit the bottom here, pop off, and fall down into the box. 90% of the time, one or two will squirrel out the side. But I do have a couple of other things that are being printed right now on one of my other printers, and that would be pieces like this. So this is a Trident skirt or Voron style skirt piece that was modified by Edge of 3D that will allow us to raise the printer up and put a skirt around the bottom like a Voron would. And that way I can take like the power supply and the control unit and move it more up underneath the belt on den rails like normal. And I'll do something with the screen to kind of mount it somewhere else where it's a little less, I'll say it's a little easier and out of the way. So since the last stream, the Ender belt has been clipperized. So I did swap out the, actually, let me see. Let me go over to, is it this scene? Yes. So I did swap out the control board on the Ender belt and go over to a Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3V3 controller board on it. And it is running Clipper using a Raspberry Pi 3 that's just kind of hanging precariously over here, which is another reason why I want to get the skirts done up and mount the electronics a little nicer up underneath the printer. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at on the Ender belt. Hey Timor, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I am trying to caffeinate and catch up on caffeination. I'm not going to stream like super long today, simply because I've been dealing with some allergies, and at some point my nose is going to get set off again, and I'm going to have to take care of that. But I do want to say a couple of things, and I'm going to grab the camera, or the one camera, and move you guys around a bit. So I do need to get a couple of more cables to make it a little bit longer, but this is my new setup. So I got the left screen, the right screen. The camera is just hanging up on the left screen right now, and a little light over there. I need to get another light on the other side. But I need this cable to have a longer extension on it so I can move it around a little bit easier. And we're going to also be working on getting the other camera somehow mounted up on the top so we can look down on top of the bench. But yeah, I think this setup will have me primarily looking this way as opposed to kind of looking off the side, trying to see a monitor. But yeah, as you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner, the inner belt is cruising away. We swapped the controller, and well, actually it was working perfectly. And of course, because I can't leave anything alone, don't know why, I swapped the controller over to a Bigtree Tech SKR Mini E3V3 controller. And that allowed me to put Clipper on it. I got Clipper on it, was able to print a penguin again and go, wow, okay, now let me see if I can get the looping going, because the Marlin firmware that was on it, or the default firmware, did not support the M808 command. And I figured if I'm going to have to recompile Marlin anyhow, I might as well just make my life easier and go to Clipper so I can more easily change it up. So that's what I did. I just want to make sure that, okay, yeah, mic center. So yeah, that's kind of what I did. She's been chugging along. I basically, I went through and I did a set of 10. And once I realized, no, a set of 2. And once I realized I was going to be good, I said, okay, do 50. Not realizing how long 50 would take. Just because you're not doing a full plate, you're doing them sequentially. And this is not the fastest printer out there. And it's by default. No belt printer is really fast. You can't really crank it up wholesale. I have gone ahead and ordered the upgrade kit for it. So once the upgrade kit comes in, then we'll do another, we'll get this back up on the bench and do another stream or two to do the upgrade kit. And what that's going to do is put linear rails on both Ys, a linear rail on the X, and it'll swap the extruder out normally for a BiQ H2 V2. But what we're going to do instead is I ordered a Revo version of the BiQ H2S. So this will allow me to use the belt printer nozzles I have. You know, I could put a Revo CR on this and be able to use the belt nozzles as well. I've got a couple Revo CRs, but I'm going to use those for other builds. And I wanted to use this with that upgrade kit just because I think it's going to work out well. And then I also picked up a couple of other things from Amazon. I got a full set of tweezers and other sharp, picky-like tools that I'll be able to use for the cosplay builds as I go in there and start messing with those. And it's just a full set of tweezers. So I'll be able to use these for some of the builds as well as for some of the cosplay stuff that's coming down the pipe. So I figured as I can go ahead and add to the tools that we have here in the Dragon's Den. The chat, you guys are pretty quiet. Is your day just going really slow, or what's going on? Or is people still at work? Timor, how are things going with you? Are you working on anything these days? I am hoping that the prints that are going on the inner belt will be done by Thursday. Hey, Miss Dragon, how you doing? You're just wondering how the house will look when I get home. It's going to look sort of the same. I don't know. This printer right here that's on the bench right now may wind up down in the dining room instead of the Ender 3 Max that's down there. But there may also be something else. Like I may put it over here and take the Prusa Mini downstairs, because the Prusa Mini I can leave sitting there and you can go over and you can go, and I'll show you how to print out the things for the garden. So whenever you need more, you can just go and print them yourself. I don't know. We'll do something. We're working on it. I've got some plans. I did post some pictures on Twitter, is it still going to be called Twitter? Is it now X? Is it just the change of logo? I don't know. I posted some pictures on Twitter, and I also posted some pictures in the Discord of our Trident over here. And I will see about scooting this over so you guys can see. But we do have... let me steal a power cord real fast and then do some camera stuff for you guys. That one on. Here we go. We'll steal this power cord. Cross our fingers that we don't pull too much power draw. But seriously, well, I'll find some place for various printers to go. The ongoing Merc OG project. Yep, got you. You're modding an Ender 5 S1. So that's the new Ender 5, huh? Are you making that into a Mercury, or because the Ender 5 S1 is the newest iteration of the Ender 5, right? Okay, so I'm going to move this other camera around here and maybe shut a main light off and a couple other lights off. So you can see we've got lights on down here. We did get the lights set up on this printer, and as well as we've got our panels set up there. We'll switch the screen up so it's a little bit bigger. So we did get our lights set up, and we got our little shields so that it'll protect you from a straight on. And we've got our nice panels installed on both sides. So we're making progress. The only other thing I need to do to this is put a camera on it, and then I'll be able to close it up the rest of the way. I did print a camera because I do have another camera like I used in the Zero G Mercury build, which has an infrared light scheme on it. The problem is if I mount this like that, whoops, if I mount it in here, it's going to be too close to hitting the tool head. So I'm going to have to use a different style of mounting. Well, a different camera altogether and a different mounting style. I'll probably do one that mounts right underneath the front of the bar and looks to them. And I've got a couple of those cameras set up already. I just need to work on getting that set up. I'll probably do that between now and Thursday so I can get the rest of the panels on. Okay. Also, I did get a response to my ticket with Fabrico, and they are sending me a new hot end. So that is en route. So we will be able to get that installed on the Fabrico Rook kit. So by Thursday, once again, I'm hoping this job of 50 is done by Thursday stream. If not, as much as it'll pain me, I'll try and kill it. Hey, zombie, how's it going? I will then kill that print, and I'll have to get the printer off of the table, or potentially we'll kill the print. And yep, it's a Penguin Army. And not only that, but I set up a makeshift box, and I've got a little video I'm going to post on the tweet. You see my Raspberry 3 hanging over here between the power cable and the USB cable. So what we can do Thursday is another mashup stream, because we'll take the skirt panels that I've got printed off, and we'll add a skirt underneath the ender to raise it up, and that will allow me to put some DIN rail in there and move the electronics and the power supply and stuff up underneath the printer. And that will clean up the printer a little bit. And between that and a couple other things, then we'll take this off the bench, and we'll be able to put the Rook up here, do a hot end swap out on the Rook, and get that one printed and starting. Hey, Pez Liz, how are you doing? Glad you're able to make it. So I got Z and Z here. Nice. Yep. So I started a little bit late, Pez, but you know, they are starting to come out, and I can run them in batches now. I figured out the magic. Basically what I did was I realized that the version of Marlin that was on the standard board did not support the M808 command, which lets you basically set up a loop in G-code. So I figured, okay, I believe I could do it through a plugin in Octoprint, but if I'm going to have to deal with Octoprint or a firmware modification, I might as well just go whole hog. So I put a Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3V3 board in here, and it's a straight drop in. All you have to do is which one is it? The hot end cooling fan, which is, the actual hot end cooling fan over here. Ay, ay, ay. This one. On the Creality board plugs into screw down terminals, and it's always on by default. Printer has power, that fan's always running. On the SKR Mini E3 V3 board, you can basically put JST connectors and plug it into the board, and then it's a controllable fan. So it only turns on when you go to do a print. Oh, sweet. Sweet, Zombie. So you're working on the West 3D Rook kit. Okay. Now, did you print the West 3D files? Because I know it has a completely different bottom half to the West 3D kit than like the Fabrico kit or the standard kit does. Oh, so anyhow, I put the new controller board in here. It is running Klipper now. And all I had to do was slice a single Penguin file. And then you go in and you modify 3 lines of code. So right at the beginning of your, well, actually, let me pull it up and I will show you. This printer, it takes over. Where are we at? Right? Trying to. Let me validate the IP address. Yep, that is the right IP address. Ay, 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 ay. I swear, I do not know why. I put brand new batteries in this keyboard, and the only thing I can think of is I need to put like an extension on the wireless dongle for the keyboard and move it up and away. I think it's getting some electromagnetic interference. And I'm trying to bring it up. I don't know why it's not coming up. Because I'm seeing it over here on the Mac. Wonder if it took too long to respond. Interesting. Okay. So I don't know what's going on and why I can't bring it up on the stream computer. However, I will bring something up over here, not that file. So on a G-code file, when you go to do a loop, you will basically, at the end of your startup script, right? So you could, like on a Klipper install, if you're running a print start macro, you can open up the G-code file and just do a search for print start, or start print, however you got your macro set up. And then you're going to add a couple of lines right after your print start command. And it's going to be a M808 space L, however many you want. If you do L0 or you just put an M808 command, it will run infinity. So it'll run out your spool and it will keep trying to print. So that's the thing to be careful of, is you need to make sure that you do an M808 space L and then the number of loops you want it to do. And then you'll hit enter. And on the belt printer, you're going to do a G92 space Z or Z0 space E or echo 0. What you're doing is you're telling it to zero out the bed and the extruder, okay, so that it can start that new print. That's all you need to do at the beginning. Then all the way at the end, right before you run your end script that shuts all your motors and everything down, you would do another M08. And what that tells the computer to do is go back and start at the beginning and look for the M08 and start processing again. Okay. And then you need to set up something in your macros file or your printer.config file. If you do all your macros there, there's an SD card loop, SD card underscore loop. And then there's basically you're telling it an M808 macro. And you can do a search for those in Clipper. And once you get those added, all you have to do is make those modifications to your G code. And you could potentially build that in a post-processing script. But once you do that, this is what happened. Just realize, so here's the nice thing. I could go in the slicer and just make 50 copies, right? Say, go into Idea Maker, put a penguin on there, say, clone 50. But the problem is it's going to slice all 50 of those and create one big long G-code file, which makes that G-code file massive. By doing the loop, your G-code file stays whatever it is to slice one, and you're rerunning the G-code multiple times. Okay, cool, Zombie. Of Owlgwens are taking it. Yep. And like I said, they're printing right off, and it'll actually sit down here. It's kind of funny watching it as it keeps going back and forth as it's doing the Z-hop, because that's what it's doing when you see it kind of rotate back and forward, is it's V-hopping between layers. You have to do Z-hop on a belt printer, or you're going to probably knock a print off and cause yourself problems. But it'll come down, and then it'll hit the bottom here, and it will pop off. And normally it goes down into my catch bucket, which is simply in this case, Black Rifle coffee box, catching my penguin. But yeah, it's pretty good. Set the spool, say go, and it goes. And what I did of the chameleons that I did, so the chameleons came out pretty good, but what I don't like is they're squishy. There's some give to the bottom of these. So I went in and resliced them with 5 perimeters, which will make them stiffer. And I did that because these, once again, are going to kids, and I do not like that these are kind of squishy. Right? If I was printing them out of TPU, I'm fine with them being squishy, but these aren't TPU, these are PLA. So I went ahead and added another couple of perimeters or walls, I should say. And Yeah, perimeters. So it should be good to go. Yeah, the penguins and the chameleons I liked a lot, and I printed out a bunch of them. I'm also going to do some dinosaurs, but I'll probably do the dinosaurs over on like the Mark III or the Mark IV and just do a bunch of them. Yeah, the tails are a little rough on these, and I may have to go and just kind of clean up the rear edges some. You'll be able to see like right here. Because you have to do a good deal of squish on these, the edges are a little rough and sharp because of the belt. So I'm just going to take a file and go around the edges real fast to get rid of any, any either burrs or just rough edges. Because once again, they are going to kids. So that's just sit there in front of the TV one night and just file on the edge or use some sandpaper on the edge. Hey, DC Sublime, how are you doing? Thank you for coming in this evening. Oh, yeah, color swaps are pretty nice. And I've got a whole slew of Alien 3D sample filaments. The only thing you got to be careful of is they have specifically said not to use silks because silks don't have the same strength and layer adhesion and stuff, supposedly. So there was a comment in there that said don't use any silks. So, I'm having to use solid colors or like the twilights and stuff like that rather than any of the silks that I have. Though I did just get some, what came in today? Some stone blue and some magenta. Whoops. So I got the stone blue and the magenta in today. So a couple of more spools of filament came in. We're going to be working on rolling out some more of the Toys for Tots stuff. The Ender 3 Max is downstairs. If Mrs. Dragon is still, I don't know, hanging around listening. The Ender 3 Max is getting boxed up and is going to have a new home soon. And I will probably be getting, I've got to figure out how I'm going to rearrange it. I may take this downstairs and put it downstairs and just have prints run right off the edge and into a big box at the end of the table. I don't know. Right now, the Ender 5 Plus downstairs is printing off the skirt pieces for this printer. And these were designed by Scott with Edge of 3D. So I'll be setting up skirts on this, which will raise it up, allow me to move the electronics underneath the print bay or underneath the belt itself, which should tidy up some of the wiring a little bit as well. Hanging on a wall. Yeah, Timor, it's a possibility, but in order to hang it on a wall, like I would, so up here, I don't have a lot of surfaces. Like you see here, this is a slant down to a short wall. So I got to be careful if I mount it up on the wall and where I can mount it up on the wall. Because, whoops, yeah. This wall space over here may have the rep rack put up on it and then, go to the printer right over here. Don't know. Which would leave potentially this wall over, this wall over here. But then I got to get rid of my little light and stuff and get it out of the way. So it's just more of trying to figure out where to put it. because I think if I hang a printer on a wall somewhere in the house, I will have problems with Mrs. Dragon when she gets home. So, happy wife, happy life. Just remember that, folks. Having printers on a table that I can potentially move if I'm going to have a lot of people over for an event is one thing. Having a printer hanging on the living room wall as a non-bachelor will probably get you in trouble. Just saying. Yeah, I like the stone blue. I've had it before. I think I've got blue, aqua blue, stone blue. I think I've got all the blues now. The silk blue. I say that because I'm like looking right at it right now. Tell her it's modern art. How about this, Timur? You come over and you tell her it's modern art, and if she's okay with it, then I'll put it up on the wall. Oh, all your silk. Okay, good. I just remember seeing something about it in the notice that they were telling people not to do silk, and I don't know if that was feedback from last year or not. Exactly. You're chicken and I'm chicken too. There's only so much I'm willing to do. Is that no space? You're okay with printers or accessories on the wall, or not okay with printers or accessories on the wall? Just got to clarify that. Keep them on horizontal surfaces so I can pick them up and go hide them in the spare bedroom if we're going to entertain one day this millennia. Like, she may be okay with me hanging it on the wall in the dragon den. But once again, I've got very little true vertical wall surface, and it's one end, and even over here, it would be over the one of the workbenches. Yeah, there's really, like, this is the only spot I can really put it. Hey, Royal Nomi, how are you doing? Don't go there, Timor. Don't start that discussion with her in here. There will be no modern art on the wall. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm tracking. I'm hearing you. You're hanging in good, Royal Nomi. Good. I hope you're feeling well today. BC and Royal Nomi are also in the process of rearranging their streaming area. So, yeah, I've counted them up before and made comments, but I'm not going to do it with Mrs. Dragon on the call, because then she'll put out an ultimatum again for me to start getting rid of them. No, Timor's not going to get banned. Like I said, if I could come up with a good mounting strategy here in the Dragon's Den, I think I could get away with it. But yeah, not just yet. But yeah, Royal Nomi, I was telling everybody, and you saw my comment, because I posted it up in your Discord, and you mentioned it yesterday on your stream that, it was printing fine, but I couldn't leave well enough alone. I mean, you know me. I can't leave printers stock for very long. And the M808 command, which is what allows you to loop and do what this printer is doing right now, was not configured in the base firmware that I pulled down off the Facebook page. It works straight out of the box, don't get me wrong, but it did not support the hey, Mod Light. Awesome. Awesome, Mod Light. Thanks. So the filament one nozzles fit, and the other one should fit as well, because it was a all metal heat break and a V6 nozzle as well. So those should all work. If one of them worked, all of those nozzles should work. It's just there was a couple of different sizes there. Supper time, good progress. Okay, Zombie, go grab some dinner. Go grab some dinner. Teamwork going into the quiet mode. Beep, 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 boop, beep. He already knows the number is way higher than expected. Yes, yes, yes. I know. It's way higher than expected. But yeah, I've got ideas. Bear with me a little bit, please, Mrs. Dragon. Bear with me. So right now, I don't know why my watch locked on me. So Royal Nomi.
Cheer one, cheer one, cheer one, cheer one, cheer
okay,
one,
I've got to look. How many bits is that?
Cheer one, cheer one, cheer one, cheer
70 bits. Awesome. Thank you so much, Royal Nomi. Thank you for the 70 bits. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Micro Swiss and nozzles will fit for sure. Yep. Awesome. Thank you for the bits there, Royal Nomi. Mod Lights in. Yeah. So, Mrs. Dragon, I sent Mod Light a few nozzles that I had here that'll fit an E3D V6 hot end. The best numbers of printers is N+1. Yes, though I will caveat that slightly. The best number of functioning printers is N+1. You always need more than one so that you can work on one when it's down. And you have the ability to print parts if something breaks on one. Because that's how I always bought the next printer was, oh, I need to print parts, and I need to print parts to get this one going again. Oh, thank you for all the hype and all the emojis there, Royal Nomi. There you go. I finally saw the coffee one. Yes, we are drinking the sludge, the coffee. I'm trying to. So I'll be honest with you. Coffee right now is my third cup for the day because I'm definitely trying to stay awake. My allergies kicked in today, and so I did have to take a Benadryl earlier. And Benadryl, it'll put me to sleep. So you take Benadryl, and then you're sitting there in your chair working, and yeah, I'll fall asleep. So been doing the coffee thing, helping me stay awake, stay hydrated. But yeah, the printer's been going well. I figured out the whole clipper thing. I wish I could get, and I don't know why it's telling me it's timing out, and I don't know why this particular Raspberry Pi that I'm running right now is sort of sus. It works, but I don't know. It seems like it's slower than most Raspberry Pi 3Bs. So yeah, you're heading to less printers so the wife loves you again. Yeah. Oh, Modlight. Yes, yes. If I could get the hair to grow up here, it would be fantastic. Hey, Free Heathen, how's it going? It's not poop. They're my penguins. I'm printing off an army of penguins, or the owlgwens, as people would call them. And so, what I'll do now, I'm in the process of printing a set of skirts for the printer. I'm printing these in metallic red PLA, which I do the Blood Angel helmets in. I had a couple of rolls left, partial rolls. So I'm printing these out, and yes, it's going to be PLA because this is going to be an open air PLA printer. We're not pushing it to 110 on the belt on this. And I'm going to put a skirt bottom on this, which will allow me to move the power supply and the electronics up underneath the printer. And I'll probably do a horizontal or a vertical mount for the screen and just like mount the screen somewhere, maybe even up on the vertical here, so that it's in a better position to work on it from one side. Yeah, that's true, Mod Light, but I just get a beanie and wear beanies. Because, yeah, this gets cold. It does get cold. I will give you that. How can you not figure out a gift card? Like you can't figure out how to do a gift card for somebody or how to use one. Whatever. Whatever covers my head and keeps me warm. Huh, that's weird. Yeah. Everything behind me quit. I was like, man, it got quiet. What happened? So interestingly, I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, I probably can't. I'll pick that off here in a little bit. I'll let it cool down a little bit more. But I was trying to do the hand pieces for the armor. Let me switch over here. No, seriously, let me switch over there. So I was trying to do the hand pieces for the Imperial Commando armor, and I was trying to print them straight up, but there was so little contact that it failed twice. So I resliced them so that they're on the rear faces. Yeah, that's weird, Free Heathen, because um, for my work, we get these connected recognition awards, which are kind of like a on the spot cash award. And one of the things that we can do with those is convert them into gift cards, at restaurants or whatever. And I normally do it for. Oh, thank you for the lurk, Royal Nomi, and good luck at the doctors. Hope everything goes well. And thank you so much again for all the biddies. Those are really awesome. But I convert those into gift cards with Amazon, and you just have to put in the code in the coupon code section, and that normally swaps it or covers it. But if you need more money to finish paying it off, then yeah, they're going to want. I think I always add mine to PayPal. Yeah, that is weird. Don't know. Don't know. I'm about ready. I keep getting emails from Amazon. It's like, oh, you would have saved this much money if you were using a business account. And I'm seriously thinking about creating a business account at this point. They deliver to me like almost every day anyhow, so I might as well start a business. So yeah, I'm gonna put the skirt on here and do some rearrangement of the electronics just to make it a little bit easier. The upgrade kit to make it linear rails on the Y and the X axis, and to go to the H2 extruder. The BioQ H2V2S extruder has been ordered. I haven't gotten a shipment notification on it yet. Fabrico is sending me, it's in the mail, it should be here Thursday, a replacement for the Rook hot end. They haven't told me whether or not they want the other one back, but they did say hold on to that one in case they want it back. They being, I believe it's Fadis who's doing the hot ends for them. Gotcha. Oh, so Heathen, you just got here and you didn't see. Let me swap the cameras again. And I'll turn this around into my big belly. So our Trident, we've got our lights going, right? So we got our lights installed. And now that I've got the lights installed, that allowed me to install my side panels that I got from KV3D Chris. So the side panels are installed. I'm holding off on doing the top because I need to still mount a camera in here. And then once I get the camera mounted, because we're gonna have to use a different one than I was originally planning on using, just because it won't fit in there with the mount that I have. So I'm gonna do one that sits right here at the front. That'll face straight down, and that'll give me a camera just to see inside to see if a print's failing, because it's gonna have smoked glass panels everywhere. It won't be readily easy to look inside of it. That's why I needed the lights and a camera internal. I also added these handles, which are great for manhandling the Trident. But yeah, we're almost done with this. We'll be able to finish this one in the next day or two. I do have, yeah. So this is the camera. That I'm going to use. Whoops. There we go. So this is the camera that I'm going to use. And like I said, I'm going to mount it on the underside of the rail. I can't mount it to the back side of the rail because that's where I had the wires for the lights going. So it's going to mount underneath, and the camera will be able to point down at the plate. But then I've got to figure out, I'm going to have to do an extension on this cable to make it work. So I'll probably extend this cable out and potentially go into the actual USB 4-pin header on the let me rethink that. No, because that's got a, I'll have to double check. I can't remember if we put a CB1 in it or which one we put in it, but I'll get that run down and in there. I'll probably have to do some type of extension cable because I should be able to. So I can't take the cable straight down the front here too easily. I'll figure it out. But I'm going to get a camera in there one way or the other, even if I mount it in the back. Because once again, it's just to make sure that it's sticking and it's not breaking loose. So, hey, Stephen Poole, how are you doing, my friend? We were just talking about the Trident over here. We are still making some progress on it. We've got the lights going, as you can see. And we've got our new side panels on it that were vinyl cut by Chris over at KB3D. We've got the inner belt going, and it is diligently pooping out penguins. So, in fact, I may do like this, and we can watch the precarious life of a penguin as it's fighting for its life from falling off the plate or the belt. So yeah, the Trident's looking really well. I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll set the Trident downstairs for a while since Miss Dragon isn't here. And then I decided, no, it's got the actual dragon stuff on it, so it needs to be up here in the background. So I'm debating whether it goes here and the 0G moves over 1 or if it goes over there. And I'm thinking it's going to go over there. And the Prusa Mini is going to get relocated downstairs. But I haven't 100% decided yet. So still up in the air. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I was sitting here, because my desk is right over here. And I was sitting here watching how precarious these things get as they're just sitting there waiting to fall off. Kind of funny. And then when you're not paying attention and it falls off and drops down into the bucket, it does startle you a little bit if you're not, if it catches you right at the right time. But I also purchased, this is a Micro Swiss heat brake for its all metal hot end. And this is what I have on my Ender 3. And it's a straight drop-in replacement. So my thought was, if I had to, I could just grab the bottom piece off the Rook hot end, slap it on here because it should be a drop-in, and I could get it up and running using this while I was waiting. But Fabrico did get me a quick turnaround on that. So that should be here, like I said, Thursday. The other thing that showed up today, and I haven't even opened this up yet, is our all-turn plastic welder. And if you've been watching Westery stream, this is the same one that she has. And it will allow you to basically use different types of staples to weld your plastic parts together. And then you'll clip them off after you get them welded, those two pieces welded together, you'll clip the tails off. And it provides a good mechanical bond. And I can do that on the inside of those cosplay chest pieces to hold them together. And then use the epoxy or the resin on the outside to fill in the rest of the seam. Exactly. And then use the epoxy on the outside to fill the rest of the seam in. Uh-oh. Somebody's pulling clips. What are you clipsing? What are you clipping?
What Digital Dragon does, just so you all know, let's be 100 on this.
Oh, is that the clip from Dark Golem? Is that the clip from the Free Heathen the other day? Yeah, what Digital Dragon does? Yeah, I need to save that clip and actually post it to Twitter or Free Heathen or Dark Golem or whoever wants to. If you would be so kind as to post that to Twitter and tag me, that would be awesome. Have you tried spinning a short piece of filament in a Dremel and spin the seams? I have no idea what kind of technique that would be, Timor. Do you have some type of video or something that kind of shows that being done? Because I know Free Heathens talked about use the aluminum tape, the true duct tape, not that duct tape with a weave, but the true aluminum duct tape that you use to seal ceiling ducts. Okay, friction welding, gotcha. You can weld with that thing as well. You can use rods and actually weld with it, just kind of like you would a welder. So that's something else that we can do. But I've got a couple of things that I want to try. So the chest piece, the first one I did, I'm going to use the plastic welder to hold it together, and then go in and try various techniques on it to, I've seen the technique that people are using where they use UV acrylic, and I actually have some to use, some UV-based acrylic, and you'll brush that on, give it a little bit to actually settle into the grooves, and then use a UV flashlight or UV light to cure it, and do it in small patches. Or I guess you could, kind of, I watched somebody else that did it in their garage, and they slathered it on and then took it out and set it outside in the sunlight to cure for 15 minutes. And then that gives you a good base. You can sand that down and do another layer if you need to. But on the actual seams that may be a little bit deeper, then you'd want to use something else to do the bulk infill of a seam. But yeah, I'm going to try some things out and different techniques out on that first chest piece. And then, that includes not just trying to get the seams to disappear and get it smooth, but also painting techniques to get a high gloss white, because that's what the majority of it's going to be, is a high gloss white. And then there will be some gunmetal grays and stuff like that. But yeah, I figure I will try on, some different joining techniques on that one. And then if I needed something smaller, and I wanted to show you guys this because, so this is the other piece that I just finished printing, and it printed, in that orientation. Okay. And the top side came out very well. And so did the large overhang underside. Once again, this is all ABS. And these were the last couple of pieces. Now I just need to upsize the torso and reprint the front, and then print all of the back pieces. And so I just pulled off the brim, and I want you to see how much total contact surface was on here. So that's a very, very thin line of true contact surface of a part. I kept trying to print it on this edge, which was nice and smooth. I was trying to print it like this, and it kept failing because it had supports underneath here, and it just kept knocking it off. So I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot at going at that weird, crazy angle. And it turned out well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other one started now. And like I said, if you guys are cool and want to see it, I will work on kind of doing that smoothing technique, because you can hear, you do have some lines in here. So we can work on doing some type of smoothing technique on these. And I know since I printed this in ABS, I can acetone smooth it, right? You're not cool, you're hot stuff. You're a goof, you nerd. But yeah, I've got quite a lot of parts done, and working with Zombie Hedgehog, he talked to Nick for me, and they did send me 5 spools of gray ABS filament for this project. So I am exactly, you got to goof around some, especially since I don't have those stream stickers to do like fart emojis or whatever. But I do have plenty of gray ABS to continue to do all the torso pieces, because there's the torso piece that I showed on stream. There's some ab pieces. There's a back and a backpack still to do. So there's quite a bit still to do on that. But I will, like I said, probably use one of these small pieces, and I'll look at various techniques that I can do. Like, yes, I can acetone smooth it, but when I acetone smooth it, I also lose some of the ridgeline details, and I don't necessarily want to lose those, because it will smooth and round over edges. So there's some edges you want to round over, there's other edges you don't. So that's why I'm going to try the technique with the acrylic resin and good old sandpaper, right? What are you supposed to do with channel points? You know what? I don't know. I need to do something with channel points, which means I need to do a little bit of research and set up things that we can do with channel points, because I just don't think I've set them up yet. Because I'm like you, I mean, yeah, we basically just have the basic ones. So I will set up something with channel points, Timor. I will get that going here. Just bear with me. Bear with me. We will get it going. But see, like, I'm sitting here going, it's going to fall, and it's still surviving. It's killing me. It's like almost looking straight up at the ceiling. So the next stream that we will do, like I said, we'll add the skirts to the belt printer, and then we will move it off. Yeah, exactly. But it'll give you guys something fun to do to engage. So why not? We'll add the skirts to this printer, and then we'll be able to move it off the table. We'll probably bring the we'll bring the Rook up here, and we'll get the Rook new hot end installed, provided it's in before the stream, which it should be. Definitely Modlite. Yeah. Post up your retract tower on Discord, and we can take a look at that and help you out with that. No problem. When you do that too, tell me what printer it is you're using, what extruder you're using, and whether it's direct drive or Bowden. because your retract settings are definitely going to be different on a Bowden printer like we've got here versus a direct drive. Okay. But yeah, so Thursday stream, we're going to add the skirts to this one. We'll get the Rook up here and do the hot end install and get that one printing. And then I think I should have all the primary parts done that we can start building the Voron 2.4. And we will probably start that build on Saturday. Simply because I'll need to get some stuff cleared out of here because, as you can tell, it's kind of crowded up here. So I've got to rearrange some printers and get some things set up to be able to support that build. But the parts for that are coming right along. So once again, we've got a purple frame and we've got our orange primary color for the parts. And yes, even on very nice prints, when you're looking at them, they look great. But you get them in a harsh light and you will see the layer lines, right? But these are the motor mounts. But yeah, we're going to do orange. What is it? It's orange, black, and a purple frame. So black's going to be the accent colors and a purple frame. And I think these are all done. Maybe. I think the AB motor stuff's all done. So yeah, right now we're going to be working on just doing some finalization on a couple of the printers to get them done and get them on the line and printing. And then we'll start into the 2.4 build. And that's an LDO Motors kit. I am going to build it as a stock LDO kit, except it does come with the parts to do clicky. It does have the Z end stop. I'm not going to use either one of those because I am going to put on a CNC tap from Chaotic Labs. So we will be using the Chaotic Labs tap on that one, just like we did on Iron Dragon Trident. So, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know about the strength properties of Voron kits or Voron parts being printed at a 45. That and they're slow. It's a lot easier to do full plates on the 0G or the other Vorons that I have because doing it on a doing it on the belt printer, it is very slow. And I can't really ramp up the speed on one of the belts. So now if you did a conveyor 90 on a 350 2.4, that would work because you could print a set of parts, let the plate or let the belt cool, roll them off into a bin, and immediately start printing the next set. So you can set it up that way, probably with like Bamboo Slicer where you're printing, where you might be able to print plates, or full production, you would have different plates of different parts going on different printers. But that would mean you would need a lot of Voron 2.4 350s because the conveyor belt printers that I've seen, either from Additiva, which makes the ender belt here, or BoronKits.com, which makes the Tradoon. I think it's that one. Whoever makes the Tradoon also has a 90-degree belt that Jay showed off at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest, but it only works with the 350 size. Don't ask me why it only works with the 350 size, because the 300 is the most popular size of Voron printers for the Trident 2.4. I guess just to have the room to put the belt mechanisms and stuff. And I'm assuming that it's the 350 size, but you basically only get a 300 out of it. But doing that would be better than a belt printer like this. And I wouldn't use this type of belt because it leaves a different surface. I would use like the power belt from there's a guy that makes power belts, and they basically almost come off looking like a PEI, like a satin PEI sheet. So oh, don't worry, my light. Yeah, so you did the all metal heat break and one or more of the hardened nozzles, and you're back up and running. That is awesome. That is awesome. Remember, with the hardened nozzle though, you're probably going to have to raise your temps up like 5 to 10 degrees, depending. So, and just take your time and work on it. I know when I switched to a heat break, I did take a little bit of a sponge with a couple of drops of like a vegetable oil or an olive oil and run your filament through that. And that will help, especially if you're doing PLA for the first little bit. Okay, yeah. Whenever I went to the all metal heat breaks for the first little bit, like first hour worth of printing, I did, like I said, you don't need much, I mean, you can buy them or you can print them, but it's just a little bit of a foam. And you can just wrap it around. Actually, I've seen somebody take and use a little bit of foam, or even like the face, the round face ladies using to clean their makeup off. Take one of those, put a couple of drops of a vegetable oil on it, and just clamp it around your filament and let the filament go through it. And that little bit of oil will, quote unquote, season your all metal heat break. It's not going to damage your print. It's not going to cause you any issues, but it will help. Yeah. Well, and once again, if you're using the all metal heat break, it's not PTFE lines, so it doesn't matter. You can use standard Capricorn tubing at that point. If you are going to go, if you're going to continue with a standard nozzle that your PTFE, or excuse me, if you go with the standard heat break where the PTFE goes all the way down to the back of the nozzle, then yeah, use their higher heat rated one. But if you go over to that all metal heat break that I sent you, just take a little bit of foam, or like I said, one of those cleaning pads, with a little bit of oil, put it right on your filament, and just clip it on there with like a clothespin or a binder clip. And that way the PTFE will pick, or excuse me, the PTFE, the filament will pick up a little bit of that oil as it goes through, and it'll help that first little bit of PTFE, or first little bit of PLA go through that heat break, because PLA in all metal heat breaks does have a tendency to clog because of I guess there's like sugars and stuff in the PLA, but yeah. Yep. There you go. Hey, Tactile, how are you doing today? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping in. We are printing on our baby belt. As I mentioned a couple of times, I can't leave well enough alone. So we've swapped out the controller. So the Creality firmware that was shipped with the printer works like a champ. As you guys saw in the last stream, it just printed right off the bat. All I had to do was get my Y height, the nozzle to the belt height dialed in, and it was fine. So Marlin settings worked great, no big deal. But it did not support the M808 command, which allows you to take a single sliced object, one penguin, and then say run X number of copies. And you do that in G code, so your G code size stays small. Otherwise, what you'd have to do is, hey, John Strand, welcome in. Otherwise, what you would have to do is in your slicer, say, create 50 copies, but that increases the size of the sliced file dramatically, right? Here, I could say slice 1, it's a small file, and I go in and add 3 lines of G code to the file and tell it how many copies I want it to make, and it basically does a for loop and counts down the number of copies. So that's what we're doing here. I'm currently running a set of 50, which we're at. We're on like 22 now. So we're about halfway done. So by Thursday, this run will be done, and I will be able to work on this printer, because we're going to add some skirts to it, and that will allow me to move the electronics, like the power supply that's hanging over here, the controller, the Raspberry Pi will all go up underneath the printer and be protected. So we'll hang it from some den rail like we do a Voron. Hey, Monlight. Ooh, I didn't even. Okay, so Pezliz, I didn't even think to ask. So you have your CocoaPress printer built, and now you're into getting software loaded and trying to push chocolate. Is that where we're at? And if so, not built, not, oh, okay. I thought you were saying that you were built, and I hate that. Oh, okay. See, now you're killing me, because I'm like, I want to see this thing built and running, because I know you can't. I know you can't show the build and stuff like that, but will you be able to show it once it's built and you're working through printing with it? Or I'm not sure how the embargo works on that one, or what you've signed. Okay. Yeah, because I know it's kind of like me when I was doing the trad rack, is I could show the trad rack, but I can't show like the design, any of the software and stuff like that. I can just say, here's what a trad rack looks like, or here's the trad rack in, you know, in process, but I'm not allowed to actually like show files and give files and stuff like that until it's out of beta. Kind of the same thing with the Zero G. I was able to show the Zero G build, but I couldn't, I had to do the frame off stream because the frame. So I don't know. That's the one thing that they're saying is a lot of the manufacturers, everybody's getting the iterations before they go on sale. So they're allowed to play with them and give feedback, but they can't really like do their reviews or show them on stream until they're live. So they're, the embargo's lifted from showing anything. I don't know. I don't get it. Oops. All right. Eventually I'll catch those. But yeah, I'm curious to see if, awesome, cool. I'm curious to see, Peslas, if you're able to show it printing, or I'm assuming you can at least show the results. Like even if you can't show the printer printing, you can show like, here's my latest Flexi, my Flexi Hammerhead Shark in chocolate. I really, 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 really wanted to get one, but that would have been a hard sell for Mrs. Dragon. Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I expected you wouldn't be able to show the CAD and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's certain things that she doesn't want out there. I'm sure imitations will be on the market shortly after she launches, but that's a completely different situation. Oy. Sorry about that, folks. Oh yeah, and that's the thing is the mechanics is one thing. Understanding how to keep it food safe, making it washable so that you can sterilize it and keep it food safe. And then the big thing is going to be the actual chocolate recipes. And in talking to her at Midwest Rep Rap Festival, the price of the chocolate isn't going to be that expensive either. I mean, that'd be the big thing. I mean, it's like an inkjet printer, right? You go and you buy an inkjet printer, and then holy cow, they kill you on toner, or a 3D printer for that matter. I mean, you can get spools now for, under $15, and good spools too, even on sale under $15. Or if you buy bulk and stuff like that. Yeah, the frame's pretty much a Voron Zero. The extruder is going to be proprietary, and basically because that's where a lot of the food safe stuff comes from. But the belt is printing, John Strand. It is starting the next iteration, and it is printing. It's a little hard to see, but every layer it is like doing a quick Z-hop, which in this case is the belt just ratcheting back forward, but it's real quick. Yeah, it's hard to see the movement. I don't know if there's nothing I'm going to be able to put there that'll make it more obvious, I don't think. Yeah, because when it does a Z-hop, it's like a 0.2 Z-hop or something. So that belt really doesn't move that much. Okay. Yeah, it'll get a little bit easier to see once he starts cresting the edge. You'll start seeing it more and more. Yeah, you just saw it there. I think you see the... But yeah, the inner belt's been printing. It's been printing great. Like I said, when I put clipper on it, that's the one weird thing. So the Creality belt, or the Creality board, the wires go in this way. On the Big Tree Tech board, the plugs go in reverse. So I did have to reverse a couple of the motors, but that was simple and easy in Clipper to easily switch the directions. What I can do, if y'all bear with me, I will move this this camera. Actually, I'm going to move the tripod. I'm going to set this camera over here for now, see if it'll stay there. Well, hell, that might work right there. If I can get it to stay. Cat window will be in the way. Here, I wonder if I can set it up there and if it'll stay. There you go. I'm sure people have put Clipper on their Anycubic Cobras. I'm sure they have. It's just a matter of, do they do a board swap, or do they have the yeah, we have not, because we asked not. Yep. What I was going to do is I was just going to move the tripod right over in front here and have it. But and the spammers must be trying to hit their quota for the month. Spam callers. Yeah, if it has a Tri-Gorilla board, why? Oh no, you're good. I thought it stopped again, but it's just heating up the nozzle the rest of the way. So good. Now that one gets started. I'm trying not to heat up my printers with the main power beds at the same time, but I have been running these two and this one nonstop for like a week now. Well, not this one a week, but I've been running 3 printers in the Dragon Den for like a week, so everything's been running good. knock on wood. So what is that white fuzz on the print head? That is, well, you know how I said PLA is got a high sugar content in it, basically? So think of cotton candy. So the fan shroud actually gets moved further out so that it doesn't bottom out before the nozzle. And so what that does is it moves the fan shroud kind of awkward, but what you're seeing, that is a fine fuzz. Fuzz is a good comment. Let me see if I can't grab it off here. So that is exactly what that is a fine fuzz. And I get this primarily on my hot ends, but it's just the air blowing past the filament as it's coming out. And it's like cotton candy. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to try and eat it, but that's exactly what it is. It's just a fine little fuzz that it's, yeah. So that would be part of the maintenance is every once in a while you just raise it up and you clean off the stuff off the silicone sock as the air blows the filament through there. Yeah, but you can see I could technically print this with zero infill. But because these are designed for kids, I want them to be durable. So I am printing it with, I think, like 15% infill. I could probably drop it down to 10%. But I am doing 5 layers as well. Because on the chameleons, which have a longer, flatter bottom, let me see if I can show you over here. There's a little bit of give to them. Not sure if you can tell that. Just kind of see how I can push that bottom in. Just a little bit. And with these going to kids, I'm like, yeah, no bueno. Can't do that. So these two, I mean, they print good on the belt printer, but yep. And there is so one thing I will tell you, this belt and these prints, you see how they will pop off when they hit the scraper at the end? Yeah, it'll do that when the belt's cold. Now remember, the heated bed is like kind of right here. So this other half, it has plenty of time for that part to cool. Okay? So without thinking about it, I had a print end, and there's a bed eject macro, which basically makes the belt loop around halfway. So it should pop everything off the belt. I say should, because if you have a print that just finished on a hotbed that's been sitting at 50 degrees, and tell it to do that, yeah, the first couple are going to pop off. And then all the rest are going to hit that bar at the end and stall the belt. That's how good the bed adhesion is on this belt. So, yeah, that's something to be careful of and just keep in the back of your mind. The belt does have good adhesion. And if you're not careful, you know. Yeah, the biggest thing with Clipper is just getting the pinouts. If somebody's come up with the pinouts for the board, you can put Clipper on anything. And here's the nice thing. Here's the nice thing. This board, right? Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 V3. It was in the Ender 3 Max. It has Klipper on it. I'm getting ready to send the Ender 3 Max to somebody, and I put the stock board back in it and put it back at Marlin because I know that's what that person uses. I can take this board and put it in this printer if I wanted to, in the belt printer, and all I have to do is add the right printer config. Klipper's already on this board. Right? So that's the nice thing about Klipper is I could decom a printer or turn it into something else. And as long as I'm using Klipper, once again, the configuration isn't on this board. All that's on this board is Klipper firmware. The configuration lives in your printer.config file. So I could take this board out, put it in any other printer, because the only thing that it cares about is the pin assignments that you're going to use on this board. And that's all in the printer.config file. So you start from a printer.config file for an SKR Mini E3 V3, and you're golden. That's why I've been able to take printer configs and just move them from board A to board B, because if it's the same controller, I'm just going in and changing a couple of settings and I'm up and running almost immediately. So that's the other nice thing about Klipper that people don't think of all the time. Is once you put Klipper firmware on the board, now granted, you may, if you haven't updated Klipper on it in a while, you may have to redo the firmware and reflash it, but that's a couple of seconds, right? Make menu config, and really here's the thing. If I pulled that from the Ender 3 Max, it's been running for a year and a half, and I never updated Klipper on it, right? And I go to do a new Klipper install from the ground up, I'm going to have to flash that board. All I need to do is the same make menu config and reflash the board. I mean, it's what, 8 settings and make menu config? Flash the board, and then I can take the SD card out and leave it out there for the next time. And if I've got 5, who is it? Was it Timor? Were you the one that was building like a series of 0G Mercuries for somebody? If they were all using the same controller, right? You can create that firmware once and you put it in and flash the first one. Pull that same SD card out, change it from firmware.cur back to firmware.bin, put it in the next one, put it in the next one, put it in the next one. Because they're all getting the same Klipper firmware, because the firmware is for that chip. Exactly. Exactly. That portability is built in. Oh, thanks for that, John Strand. Yeah, and that was the Tri-Gorilla board, right? But yeah, that portability with Klipper and the simple thing of I did have to repin one of these motors when I plugged it into the. So when I first set up Creality, that was the one thing is the Y motor, right? Because remember, we physically flipped the motor in the bracket, which means it was turning the wrong way than what it was expecting. So that meant I needed to swap the cable. And normally, if you had DuPont connectors, you could just take the cable and rotate it and put it back in. It's kind of hard to do that with JST connectors. So I had to pop all the pins out and repin the connector, right? No problem, easy enough to do. But you have to flip the printer, shut the printer down, flip it on its side, open the electronics case, take all the pins out, redo the pins in the reverse order, and stick it back in there, close up the case, turn the printer back on. Or in Klipper, open up the printer.config and either add an exclamation point or take away the exclamation point, and you just reverse the direction of the motor. It's that much easier. And I'm not knocking it because Marlin works great. And there's a lot of people that's it. They just want to stay with Marlin. I'm fine with that. I've never taken the time to learn RepRap firmware. In Evil Diesel, when he built his first printer, I printed all the parts for him, and he was having some problems getting it dialed in. And I was like, okay, let me come over and help. He's using a Duet board and RepRap firmware. I've never worked on a Delta, and I've never worked with RepRap firmware. But it's close enough to Klipper that I was able to sit down with him, see what it was doing, and say, okay, this is the type of setting we're looking for, and we managed to get it working. That's the thing. Can I do Marlin? Yes. Would I have to go back and look at some videos and kind of rehash just the process of getting into Marlin with VS Code and getting it compiled? Probably so. But if I did it a couple of times, I'd be like, oh, there we go. Done. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So they're all good. They all do what they're supposed to do. Even Gerbil. Now, Gerbil's okay, right? You're using an Arduino, but in Gerbil, you're doing everything command line. You configure it. We could do our printer.config file in just about any text editor. And I mean text editor, Nano, Notepad++, VS Code, not Notepad, WordPad. Let's get real. Let's go back so we don't add a whole bunch of stuff. But Gerbil, it's true. It's Gerbil you're going to use for CNC and some lasers and stuff. But Gerbil, it's line by line. You're going in line by line and doing a $sign code and then setting a value line by line. So that was the biggest pain in the butt doing that for my Genmitsu 3018 because I've customized it. But even that, once you know it, you know what, or you have the cheat sheet that says, I need to change this. Okay, let me go do this. Oh yeah, Gerbil is the original CNC, right? You can do it to control any CNC machine, and a 3D printer is a CNC. So yeah, just knowing the G codes, and it's which G codes are recognized. So to do an M808 in Klipper, it does not recognize that by default. You have to set up a macro so it understands the M808 behavior, right? But once you do that, you can just call M808 and G code like you normally would, and it now knows how to do it, right? Exactly. Yep. So it's just a matter of how to make your firmware of choice do the thing that you want it to do. And some of that can be real easy, so it can be a pain in the butt. Or like in the fact of Pressure Advanced, right? It's the same fundamental thing. They just call them different names. Pressure Advanced, Linear Advanced, right? You know, yeah. And, I was using things like Gerbil and, um, oh, JSCNC or CNCJS or something like that as kind of like the GUI. Like a lot of people will use Universal G-Code Sender, or I think it was JSCNC or something. And you can run that on a Raspberry Pi, plug it into your CNC, and send your G-code from your computer to that. Yeah, CNCJS. So I would do all my design on my MacBook and then send it to a Raspberry Pi and run it off the Raspberry Pi to connect it into the Genmitsu. Why? I'm not going to plug a $2,000 MacBook Pro into this Genmitsu CNC and hope and pray that it has reverse voltage protection on the USB port. If it fries a Raspberry Pi, that's one thing. If it fries my $2,000 MacBook, I'm going to be pissed, right? So that's kind of what I was using. But there was a lot of people that were like, oh, just go and get Mach 3. The controller board that will talk Mach 3 is like $150. And then Mach 3 is a couple of $100. It's a $200 CNC. I just wanted to use it to learn the CNC workflow and understand CNC. Then I went and bought a Shapeoko 3XL, which is a 16 by 32 inch cut area. Now I'm cutting things. I'm cutting panels for my 3D printers, for God's sakes, I wanted something cheap to learn the technology. Then I go spend a couple of grand on a device, right? Get off my lawn, whippersnapper. Yep. Hey, I'm 51 and I wear it well, right? So, well, and like I said, I wanted to learn the technology and destroy some things potentially, right? I broke a few bits and did a few other things. I'm not that worried because I've only got a couple $100 invested. We'll just say my wife's driven some bits through some hold down screws on the Shapeoko. Luckily, she hasn't tore up too many things. And she's, I will get some panicked. She's figured out, boom, e-stop. We're good. And then I get a panic text of, can you come out here? And I'm like, oh God, yes. But so far it's few and far between. And I've got several of the standard bits, so mistakes can happen. I've had some mistakes myself. Yeah. When you break a $70 Amana bit, you cringe, right? But when you break I'll say a finger sticker engraver bit that you got 50 of for $10. Oh well, I don't care about that. I'm more worried about what happened when the bit broke and where did it go. If it breaks off in the piece, we're great. If it flung itself, hopefully it embedded itself into something not soft and squishy like a human. because anything else can be replaced. Yeah. 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 And so that's the thing is, yeah, safety is number one. And I've made sure that I've got the plastic hold downs or the wooden hold downs, but still any hold downs got to have at least a screw to hold it down. Right. So if you hit the screw, it sucks. Safety third. Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Speeds and feeds. Like if you're going through wood or plastic, it's normally a little more forgiving. But if you're starting to mill aluminum, which I want to start doing, and I have some aluminum to start working and trying it out, your speeds and feeds are so critical. You mess up your speeds and feeds while you're doing aluminum or steel, yeah, you're gonna dull some bits and then break bits. And that's why, a 3D printer, I'll be quite honest with you. I started the first print on this and it was way high and I stopped it. I readjusted the end stop down some, started the second print and it was holding on. And I went to bed. Second ever print on this printer. I started it. I was getting good bed adhesion and I was exhausted. I went to bed. Got up the next day, had a penguin, right? The second one we did on stream last week. Yeah, I guess it's Tuesday. So yeah, last week. I proofed it on Friday that it works. Saturday we pushed plastic on stream. But I'm a lot more comfortable because this is an Ender-based printer. I'm very comfortable with the Ender electronics, and you will note that when we went in to start doing all the wiring, I put ferrules on everything and stuff like that. So I made sure that, safety first. I'm confident that their electronics aren't going to melt down. If it was based on an ANET A8, nope. I would have stopped the print and went to bed. Right? And now with it having a Big Tree Tech board in it, once again, ferrules and good connections on everything. 50 of these are running off. I'm not going to stay and wait for 50 of these to roll, But yeah, all my other printers, I'll send it. Yeah, I mean, these two behind me, like this is a short print because it's just the hand plate. This is going to be a short print now, but I was doing larger prints on it, like the gauntlets were taking 7 hours to print. I'm printing things in such an order that I have a 7-hour print that I can let run overnight while I'm sleeping. The last thing I want to do is, let me heat this up and run a 30-minute print and then have an 8-hour print to go the next day. Let it run the 8-hour print at night. That way it's not sitting idle. Yeah, there you go. I've had some pasta on that one trying to print the hand pieces because I was printing them vertically and they were detaching. So I finally had to reslice them and add a brim. And I think I got, yeah. One of my attempts to do the M808 on this, I got, it was funny. Let me see. I think it's in here. I did get some, yeah. So once again, we're on a belt printer, right? All right, let me switch cameras here. Oh, dang it. So that was my first attempt at doing M808 on Clipper. Why is it like this? Because instead of telling it to 0Z, I told it to 0Y. So it was finishing the print on the first one, zeroed Y, and started printing higher. So yeah, that one I was starting to get some hairy stacked chameleons, which was interesting that it was still continuing to go. But yeah, that one was weird. But once I realized this, I was like, oh, okay, I know what I did. I called the wrong axes. So I got that fixed and problem solved. I am surprised that it printed that because if you can see it, it actually melted back into the top of the other one. Yeah, you could do, I mean, if I turn the AC off on here and covered the vents because the auto fan would still kick on, I could get it hot enough to print open air ABS in this room with all the printers I got. I'm gonna hold on to that. That was pretty cool. Okay, let me see this. Any tips on printing mask on a direct drive extruder? So I do those all the time. That's basically how I'm doing helmets, right? It's a direct drive 0G Mercury 1 using an orbiter direct drive into a Revo nozzle or Revo based hot end. Can't remember which one's in that one. But yeah, if it's direct drive, your retracts are probably going to be less than a millimeter, and I normally run like 0.3 to 4 millimeter retracts on my direct drives. And make sure that if you have to, stock direct drive, okay. If it's a mask, the biggest thing is to make sure that you've got good bed adhesion. And if that means add a brim, so if it's a full helmet, right? So a full helmet, you're going to have enough contact surface. If it's a true mask where you only have like the bottom portion here, you've got to look at how much contact surface you have versus how high it is. Okay? So if you've got small contact patch, but you're going high and back at an angle like this, then you want to add a lot of brim, like 4 or 5 millimeters of brim. It's an Oni mask. Okay, so that comes around kind of like that far, right? So it's a pretty decent, comes around to the side, like around the jawline. So it should give you a pretty good amount. I may still do some brim on it because brim's easy enough to take off. And then maybe some tree supports if you've got some inner overhangs, just because that Oni mask is supposed to fit up nice and tight to the face, and you'll want a cleaner surface on it. Yeah, I tend to do tree supports from the bed only unless you're going to absolutely need them. If you got a lot of overhangs, but on an Oni mask, you shouldn't have overhangs. Because normally you would have them at like eye socket openings and stuff like that. But the Oni mask is, the lower portion. It covers just down to your cheekbones, right? So you shouldn't have any real overhangs. I would do a brim, right? And my settings for brim, I normally do I'll do 4 or 5 millimeters, because remember, brim's like one layer, right? So I would do I'm familiar with the Oni mask. So I would do like 4 or 5 millimeters of brim, and to make your brim easier to come off, there is a gap setting that you can set. A lot of people say no, make it 0 so that it's right up against the first layer. I've actually been able to put like a 0.1 gap, and believe it or not, it still does what it needs to because of your squish, but it makes it so much easier to get the brim off cleanly. But yeah. And then, like I said, I would use tree supports if you think you're going to need any type of supports at all, because the tree supports in Prusa Slicer and Orca Slicer have been coming off like, so this is the support that was on one of the gauntlets, right? This is what they call the hybrid support. So it's a tree support, but it does, it's a hybrid support in Orca Slicer, but you can see where the bottom was and where each of the tiered layers were in the actual gauntlet. And this whole thing popped off in one piece. So yeah, I'm really loving Orca, and this is ABS, folks. This isn't PLA. This is ABS. So yeah, I mean the supports that I've been doing, and even so even on the rocket or the little missile, right? This was printed standing vertically, so it had support up here at each one of these little indents, and then all the way up here into this groove, it even had support. And it all came off cleanly. Yeah, this is a Mando part. Well, actually, this is the, it'll go on the Imperial Mandalorian Commando armor. So these are the new ones. These are the commandos that showed up at the end of season 3 of Mandalorian using the Beskar. This is when they got attacked by Moff Gideon with the Stormtrooper commandos that were wearing Beskar armor. That's the armor set that I'm doing. I believe it does, John. I believe it does. You have to go into the other printers, and I believe it does have an ender in there. Yep, it goes on the arm, or on the forearm gauntlet. But yeah, I've been amazed at all of the pieces. Like I said, I've been printing them off exclusively on the 2.4, and it's print. Oh crap, do I have filament? In fact, because I had a couple of fails, I'm going to have to do a filament change on this one. So Let me log in and shut that one down so I can get it out of the way. Okay. Sorry, gang. I'm just trying to do some rearranging here to make it easier because I am going to have to feed the monster over there. That's the only thing is I don't have a filament runout sensor set up on this yet. And so doing long prints, you will have to either swap out or something. Yeah, you've printed the, well, and even doing your lightsabers, I mean, those are going to be, are you printing your lightsabers vertically, right, Britt? Chuck Hullabuck, Chep, CHEP, on YouTube. He is an Ender Whisperer, and he uses Cura. In fact, he releases Cura profiles for most of the Enders. And if what you're using is close to an Ender, you can probably start with one of his profiles. Yeah, Chep has the best Cura profiles out there, but it's primarily all Creality. But when you think about it, the Cobras and stuff, they're not that far off from, an Ender 3. Maybe slightly different sizes, but you can look at his profiles and build off of those. But he's got some really good profiles. That's what I was using when I was using Cura, which was many moons ago. Like, I was literally sitting here going, okay, they talk about black belt Cura. But as soon as I looked at the black belt Cura and realized it was still based off of like 3.6, I was like, nope, Idea Maker, I already had it installed. So I started watching Edge of 3D's video, and I'll just say it's the video quality was not the best because the the screen capture was very grainy, so it was a little bit harder. But he does talk about all the different pieces that you have to actually change. So yeah, there's a lot of V-wheel bed flingers, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. They're good. I mean, this is still running V-wheel. I have no need to switch it to linear rails other than why not? It's printing great. Yeah, and I've been using Prusa Slicer. I'm using Idea Maker for this belt printer only because trying to figure out all the settings for a new printer, I mean, I can look and see if Idea Maker has profiles or somebody has uploaded a profile for some of my other printers. But like Orca Slicer has been working for everything. If I'm printing straight, if I'm printing on Prusa, oh, hey, Chris, how's it going? Yes, it is printing. I had it over here at the end, kind of looking down as it's doing as it's pooping penguins, but somebody wanted an up close print or an up close view, so that's what I got set up right now. I am having to keep my ear out for when the filament pops off the spool back here on the 2.4, so I can swap it out with a fresh roll. But yeah, everything's going well. I've shut off the Trident a little bit as it sits over here. I had it plugged in, shut off the lights and the panels. They look beautiful. I am so happy. Thanks a lot for those, Chris. But yeah, Cura, I was fairly good at Cura, but I haven't really used Cura in well over, I think, 2 years. I was using Prusa Slicer for everything, and now I use Prusa Slicer for my Prusa Mini and the Prusa Mark IV and Mark IIIs just because it's easier, and especially if I'm going to do MMU on the Mark III right here, yeah, that's Prusa Slicer all the way. But for the Vorons and the 0Gs, Orca Slicer, it works fine. Yeah, Idea Maker it's a little bit more to learn, the way they have everything set up. But like I said, I followed Edge of 3D's videos, got this set up. He did send me the Clipper profile, which basically has some different, beginning and end G code. But beyond that, it works. It works. So, and for a belt printer, I mean, you really got to look at it. So if I took this file and opened the G code in Prusa Slicer's G code viewer, it would look completely wonky and whacked out. But looking at it in Idea Maker or something else that's belt printer knowledgeable, it shows up just like this, like you're seeing in the penguin down on the belt. So yeah, and you had everybody that was doing Prusa Slicer, and then you had everybody that started doing Super Slicer because it exposed more. And now I think a lot of people are switching over to Orca Slicer because it's kind of got the best of both worlds, and it opened up Bamboo Slicer, right? So yes. Yeah, if you're going to do color swapping and stuff like that, Prusa Slicer may be easier to set up. Oh God, VI, Vim, Emacs. Now you're going way back. And let me just say, I hated VI. I could never remember all the different keyboard codes and stuff for VI. But yeah, if you were back there, I mean, if you were in it to win it back in the day, you could do VI and Vim and Emacs with your eyes closed. God. Now you have me going all the way back to, what was it, Slackware Linux? Pine, okay. Yet you've heard a rumor of another one coming out. Another what? Slicer or Slackware just released a new version? Yeah. Every once in a while, I used to do it more often when I was in Colorado, but here there's not a lot of tech magazines, which is surprising because if you go to a Barnes and Nobles in Raleigh, like, holy crap, Red Hat has a headquarters building in Raleigh, North Carolina. Yet you go to the bookstores and it's hard to find tech magazines. Like I used to be able to go to the grocery store and get um, uh, like PC Modder and stuff like that. But here it's like I go to a bunch of different places and I've got to go around to find like Linux Admin and those types of magazines to look at the, stay caught up on Linux and stuff because we do a lot of Linux at Cisco. But yeah. So there's a new slicer that's going to come out. Okay. I'm hoping to see either a new slicer or a slicer that more easily incorporates stuff for some of the non-planar printing and some of the kind of like the overhang printing that I've seen, where it actually starts building it up in arcs, so you're able to get a good overhang because it has something to attach to. Yeah, you're running Beta Slackware. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And see, that's the thing is, I've got a lot of things going on, and normally I can count on Mrs. Dragon, basically taking care of things on the outside. She loves going out and doing the yard work and stuff, except for pulling weeds. She hates pulling weeds. She'll sit out there all day doing it and then complain about it. But, I gotta, with her gone, I gotta keep up on the garden and everything like that. Just like 3 years in a row where either she's bought all the stuff for the garden, but she hasn't been here to plant it. So I have to plant it and keep it going until she gets back to harvest. Or in this case, we've started harvesting and we planted a ton of tomato plants. And of course, now all the tomatoes are starting to ripen up and she's not here, which means I've got to keep an eye on it because they go from ripe, ready to pick to dying on the vine real quick. So I've got to be able to pull them on time, get them all washed, dried, and stored somehow. So I've got to stay up on that too. All right, John, enjoy work. Have fun. Your dishwasher has a mowing function. Nice. Yeah, I just went out today and had to go out and water this morning because we haven't had a lot of rain and it's been so hot. But today, at least, it wasn't as hot. So I watered this morning. I may water again this afternoon or tomorrow morning, just to try and keep everything in the garden going. But yeah, we're finally getting a little reprieve from the craziness. Well, cool, gang. It's 7:30, so we've been going for about 2.5 hours. Good. So, what's everybody else working on? Is there any projects that people have been needing help with, or um, I'm probably going to be reaching out to S. Rona, Shannon, about some tips on, doing the cosplay armors and stuff like that, and probably reaching out to like Britt, Creatrix Britt and or Ian on some painting techniques and stuff like that. Oh, hey, Interrupt, welcome in. Oh yeah, I'll go out and mow the lawn. I'll be miserable for a couple of days from my allergies. And my wife keeps telling me, well, put a mask on, put a mask on. And I'm like, yeah, I can probably get like, just like I'll say our COVID mask, something just to keep from getting so much of the crap in my nose and mouth. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, not a problem, Mon. Like, thank you for being here, and glad those things made it to you safely and quickly, and glad to see they're working out for you. Well, and here's the thing that I'll tell you about my dishwasher. I've never run the dishwasher in my new house. My wife always runs it, and she sets it on a timer to run at night. So I'm going to have to find one, I'm not going to generate enough dishes. I'll just wash them by hand. But when she's here, we're doing a bunch of baking or cooking or stuff. Normally around harvest time, we run the dishwasher. I have no idea how to run the dishwasher in this new house. I'm sure I might be able to figure it out by looking at it. But yeah, I don't. I just have to grab the manual and figure out how to run my own dishwasher. I take Zyrtec daily, and I'll take Benadryl occasionally. Like I'll go out and mow the lawn and spend a couple hours out there doing yard work, and then I'll come in, cool off a little bit, take a shower, take 2 Benadryl, sit down, and pass out. But yeah, my nose will still flare occasionally. And of course, my allergies are to grass and trees. And I live in North Carolina. Well, yeah, and like I said, I'm allergic to grass and trees, and I've still got two uh, 2 empty lots over here that are still wooded. So yeah, it's life, and I was living in Colorado, and we moved from Colorado down here because the high altitude in Colorado was exacerbating my asthma. So down here, I don't have the asthma problems because I'm at 200 feet sea level, but I have to deal with the allergies. It's a valid trade-off because the allergies aren't putting me in the hospital. The asthma was putting me in the hospital 4 or 5 times a year. So, yeah, yeah. So you're not allowed to step on the floor of the kitchen. Yeah, I hear you. No, my wife's fine. Like I'll get in there and the biggest thing is I tend to clean as we go, where she tends to get into a project and she just goes, and then she'll work on cleaning up afterwards. And I'll go to walk in the kitchen, and it's like the pet peeve of crap. I got to start cleaning this stuff up, and then I know if I do, I'll start pissing her off. So it's like, okay, I'll go away, and then when I start hearing her clean, that tells me that she's done and she's getting into cleaning mode. Then I'll come back and I'll help with the clean stuff. If I'm not in the middle of streaming. So, yeah. Oh, well, and that's the nice thing is me and my wife, we we put the kitchen together, or we put the kitchen stuff and, and organized it together. And we've realized if either one of us wants to reorganize something, we come together and we reorganize it. I tell you what, I moved into a house, and like a week later, my mom came out to visit for an extended period, and I was away at work, and she didn't like the way I set up the kitchen, so she reorganized the entire kitchen on me. And I came back in from work, and I went to look for something, couldn't find anything. I lost it. I was like, I'm going to redo this entire kitchen, and you will not touch it again, or you will not be allowed to visit anymore. Like, that's how bad it pissed me off. You know, because military, once again, set in the ways. I come in, I'm looking for a specific thing in a specific place. And if it's not there, I get all kinds of mad. Like the shed key, right? My wife will lose the keys. So we have the shed keys on a binder clip that's attached to a gnome. And that gnome is neon yellow. So you'll be able to find it because she'll be working in the shed, and she'll grab a bunch of stuff. She'll have it in her cart or in a basket or whatever, and she'll be out doing yard work, but she can always find it because it's this big neon yellow gnome, right? I will go into the junk drawer, which is where that key should be at, and I can't find it, and I start getting mad. Like, where is the shed key? Well, it may be in my basket over here or out in the garage. No, the shed key goes here. When you're done with the day, it goes here. That way people can find it. It's got the big key ring on it so you can find it when you're out using it and running around the yard type of thing, right? But at the end of the day, it goes here. You know, same thing with the tools. At the end of the day, at the end of the stream, you'll see me start putting all the tools back because I'm trying to stay organized so I know where they're at the next time I need them. But you got grease on the fridge. Oh, Build Overbought. Yeah. Yep. 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 My dad's the dishwasher, you know. He does that too. Yeah, yeah, that's the one thing, like, you know, guys or gals, the easiest way to get out from having to do something is to do it poorly, and then your significant other will be like, "Oh, they're an idiot. They don't know how to use the dishwasher or do the dishes or do cooking or whatever, so keep them out of it." Just burn a few meals, and she stops asking you to cook. Just don't let her catch you cooking. Because Liz, I don't even know what ironing is anymore. I know how to iron. I know what it is. I don't iron anything. Like this is work. T-shirt and shorts, or T-shirt and jeans. When I go into the office, and I'm a manager now too, but that's because I work with engineers. I work with sysadmins. I dress the same way that my team dresses. If I'm if I'm presenting to VPs, yes, I will dress accordingly. But lovingly, in this role that I have, I don't have to do that. So I'm good. If I do have to, it's probably wear a button-down shirt with my shorts because I'm not going in the office and doing it. I'm doing it via WebEx call or something. Exactly. And here's the thing. When my wife met me, I was a single parent with 2 teenagers. I obviously knew how to do things around the house. She was a grown adult in her 30s. She was on her own. She knew how to do things around the house. So the thing is learning what we do the same and what we don't do the same and how to stay out of each other's way, right? You know what? I try to be. I try and learn. the first couple of things that I grinded with my grinder and cutoff wheel, they're flat, but you know, they could always be better, but that comes with practice. Same thing once I start painting, right? I'm sure it's not going to be perfect, but I'll learn and I'll get better. Weaponized incompetence is a thing. Yep. Yeah, and that's funny enough. So, like I said, I work for Cisco Systems, the networking company, not the food distribution company. And a lot of places I've been, they want you to work on your weaknesses, right? Get better at the things you're bad at. Cisco takes the opposite approach. They want you to do the things that you're good at and find ways of doing that more often. Then we can find people that are good at doing the things that you're bad at, and together we build a team that's good at doing everything, right? Because if you hate doing something, you don't want to do it, right? Do I like sitting down and wiring things? Not necessarily, but at certain points in time, it's perfectly fine. And I can sit down and kind of zone out while I'm doing wiring, right? It's just don't hit the power switch until you're in a better state of mind and you can actually pay attention. But yeah, and right now my wife's out in Colorado, so it's just me. I'm not cooking a bunch of stuff. I'm going through all of the TV dinner type stuff that we get and have at the house. Like really, my wife's out of town and I'm trying to work my way through the pantry and fridge stock, right? And then when she comes back, we'll restock then some. And, then I'll have to start working through it again on the next time that she's out of town. Timers are godsend. Oh yeah, I was running timers this morning. Batch processing is a thing too. There's times when it's, you can only take so much of doing something, so do it in batches, right? Teamwork, do things in batches. Yep. So I'm just happy that I work with a bunch of geeks and nerds, because like one day I'm going to meet up at the office or we're going to meet up somewhere. Like before COVID happened, like literally a couple of weeks into COVID, I had scheduled to have a bunch of people meet me at the office on a weekend on Saturday. And I was going to go over 3D printers and talk to them about the basics of 3D printers. And they were going to bring their kids and stuff. Like these were some of my coworkers. And then COVID happened and we had to belay all that. So there's part of me that wants to be like, I want to take a couple of printers into the office one day, even if it's at like the middle of work, and just set them up on some tables and just sit there and talk to anybody that wants to come by and chat about it. Right? I think that would be pretty cool. My wife would probably change the locks on me, so I'd have to do that while she's out of town. That way I can't bring the printers back in. Exactly. You need some alone time, even if it's still in the house. Like you need some separate time as well as you need some together time. So my wife doesn't work and I work from home. So I get up every morning, I'll make my first cup of coffee and I'll come upstairs. And I will stay upstairs throughout my workday. Or I'll come down, I'll check on her and yell at her because I know that she's been outside all day and it's 90 something degrees out and she's sunburned, but exactly. If I need to print something, I can print something. You know what I just found out at work? And I'm going to have to look this up. Give me 1 second to look through a couple of messages. Ooh. Nope. I think it was one of my, so it's one of my team groups chat, so it may take a second. But I was showing off some of my printers and the new stuff, right? Because I made reference to the Dragon Den, which is my office. And everybody's like, Dragon Den, what is that? And I explained and posted a picture. And my former boss sent out a message. Where is it? I hate our messaging apps sometimes. It's so hard to find things. Okay, anyhow, I was trying to figure out what model it is, but we have some type of Stratus. Well, here, let me see if I can't hit the Stratus website. We've got a Stratasys at the office. And I was like, wow, I know she said that we've had 3D printers there, but she actually told me what the model was. So, really? Yeah, there we go. It's a Stratasys Fortis 450 MC. So let me switch over to the browser real fast. Hold on. Yeah, so we actually have this Stratus 450 MC at work in one of the buildings. Now they said that you've got to get certified to use it and everything like that, but this thing, one, I like it. There's no price. It's a request to quote, which means it's a good thing it's a work machine. But it does all kinds of materials. So like ASA, ABS-M30, ABS-M30i, ABS-ESD, which is static dissipative, polycarbonate, PCABS. Yeah, I can do some of those things. Nylon 12, okay. Ultem 1010 resin, and Taro 800 NA. So these are like crazy expensive materials, right? Yeah, that's an expensive printer. She said it was a Fortis M450 or whatever. I was like, huh? So I went and I looked it up and I realized it was a Stratasys. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's an expensive one. But yeah, I mean, that's a monster. And what was let's see, did it say what the size was on this? Compatible materials. Here we go. 406 by 355 by 406 millimeter build volume. Can do 25 different materials. And up to a 500 cubic inch cartridge capacity. So yeah, fairly big one. Borrow that to make some Ultim hot end. Yeah, exactly. I should go and do Ultim on that and show it off and be like, hey, Nero, this is how you do Ultim without melting your hot end off. Yeah, average price $185,000. Good gracious. Yeah, and like I said, it does 25 different types of materials to include nylon and Ultim materials. So yeah, so Peak, Ultim, all of these are going to be like 500 plus on the hot end. And this thing, my understanding is it's broken more than it's working, which doesn't surprise me because I don't know what they would be prototyping with it, at Cisco, but okay. But yeah. I just thought, oh, wow, that's interesting. Like she keeps talking about, yeah, we've got this 3D printer over there. We got this 3D printer over there. Well, I was like, well, let's go get it working if it's broken. And then she tells me it's this. I was like, oh, I ain't working on that. That's too costly for me to work on. And I bet there's a ton of them out on the for sale market. I don't even want to know how old that thing is. But yeah. Yeah, definitely, do the chores, take care of myself, stuff like that. And speaking of taking care of ourselves, we're now at about 8 o'clock. You guys are able to see how our 3D printer does its thing. And I will be needing to swap out printer chow on that print here shortly. And I will say thank you one more time to Zombie Hedgehog and Nick over at Polymaker for getting me some more spools of the gray ABS for that armor. That's going to be awesome. But yeah, I am I'm thinking I'm going to call the stream here very shortly. So one, I can get that swapped out. I've kind of got to work a little bit fast because it's it's a ABS print. I got to be careful not to leave the door open for too long. But yeah, thank you all for being here tonight. Let's figure out somebody to raid out to. And who's on Tuesday night? Whoops. I see Astro, Canut, Carmella, Good Heresy, Turner's playing some games. Let me actually flip over to Twitch and see who's on that I know. Way Cool Woods on. Let's see what they're working on. So Way Cool Wood is online, and it looks like they're doing some stuff on the lathe, doing some woodwork on the lathe, which looks pretty interesting. Something I always wanted to check out. Wood turning and stuff is, I think, it's kind of cool. Yep. Way Cool Wood. So I will set up the raid for them. So let me see if I can't get my keyboard over here, so maybe it'll work a little bit better. I don't know why my keyboard is like. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get the raid started into Way Cool Wood. Folks, please go on over there with me. Check out what they're working on today. If you like woodworking and the other things that they do, that's great. We can go over there and learn some new techniques on working with wood. But we will be back here on Thursday. Once again, we'll do a little bit of modification work to the belt printer, and then we'll get that off the table, and we'll get the Rook hotting going, and we'll be pushing plastic with the Rook on Thursday night. So thank you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and get that raid started. Like I said, please join me as we head over there to the raid, and I will see you all on Thursday evening and again on Saturday morning when we start the Voron build on Saturday. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we will see you all on Thursday. Bye now.